Hello. Today we will be discussing at-risk students, but specifically those with autism. So, what is an at-risk student? According to the Glossary of Education Reform, the term at risk is often used to describe students or groups of students who are considered to have a higher probability of failing academically or dropping out of school. Some examples of students who are at risk are students with a disability, including autism, any learning disorder, physical disorders, and more. Children in low socioeconomic status situations, including students who are homeless, students of color, boys tend to be more at risk, those students who are consistently absent or late, foster care students, incarcerated students, and students who are pregnant. Some facts about students with autism are that people have autism, they are not autistic. This can be confusing because we do not want the student to think that autism defines them, but rather that they are in control. A study done by Richer on the left shows that the number of children that have autism has continuously climbed over the years. The statistic on the right, done by the Department of Health, shows that 5.1% of boys and 1.5% of girls have autism, meaning that boys have a higher chance of having autism. Children with autism are at risk for many reasons, but today we are just going to focus on three major ones, which are sensory dysfunction, the difficulty of communicating that comes with autism, and bullying. According to WebMD, sensory processing disorder is a condition in which the brain has trouble receiving and responding to information that comes in through the senses. This can be triggered by bright lights, loud noises, certain fabrics and materials, and more. This can cause students to become anxious and overwhelmed by their environment. In the image to the right, you can see some examples of activities and sensory things that can be triggering to somebody with autism. For example, it says, I hate having my hair cut, washed, or brushed. This is an example of having sensory processing disorder and how it can trigger somebody. The National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders stated that children with autism spectrum disorder may have difficulty developing language skills and understanding what others say to them. They also often have difficulties communicating non-verbally, such as through hand gestures, eye contact, and facial expressions. If a teacher cannot communicate effectively with the student that has autism, then they will struggle with knowing how a student learns and if the information is relative and makes sense to that student. Students with autism struggle interacting with others in general, so when they have to work in a peer group setting, it can be difficult for them to work together. According to Maya Salvitz from Time magazine, about 46% of autistic children in middle and high school told their parents they were victimized at school within the previous year, compared with just over 10% of children in the general population. She also stated many people with autism have trouble recognizing social cues, which makes them awkward around others. She also mentioned in the article that these children live in their own world, per se, so they don't experience the awkwardness and see the awkwardness in those situations that people without autism experience. The graphic on the right side is from autism.org and shows that nearly 2/3 of students with autism spectrum disorder have reported being bullied. And with a lack of compassion from peers, this can turn into bullying towards a student that is different from them. One solution to this is to promote autism awareness. By celebrating Autism Awareness Month in schools, it can bring awareness of what having autism is like, so that there is more compassion for those students among their peers. And by encouraging and educating children on differences there are in the world, it makes children more open minded and well rounded. It's important for educators to be aware of the autism population in their schools so that they know how to interact, communicate, and teach all of their students. They'll be able to watch for bullying and possibly prevent bullying in that population of students, and they can be an advocate for the students that have autism, overall, making the school and classroom a more welcoming environment. These are my references. I hope you all learned a little bit about the importance of educating and helping students with autism that are a part of the at risk population. Thank you.